Okay. So today's sake is called Katafune. It's created by Takeda Sake Brewery. And to support this event, I have three guest speakers today. The start from the left photo. So David Sakamoto, he is a CPA and the owner of Jizake Quest. Also, he is a WSET Level 1 sake instructor. He will be go over a basic of sake with us. And to the right photo, Brian Hado is an owner of sake bar called Craft Sake Shoten, located in Yokohama, Japan. And his sake bar is popular among locals and many tourists from all over the world. And the Katafune is a part of his regular collection. So he'll be sharing the comment from his customer and experiences. And finally, in the center photo, today's main guest, who created Katafune Sake collection, Mr. Takeda, brew master from Takeda Sake Brewery. Welcome, everyone. And today's agenda, here's today's agenda. So throughout the session, we'll be tasting sake. And while you're tasting, we will go over, share about the Takeda Sake Brewery, including the concept of Katafune sake. And David will share how to do the tasting and the basic of sake. Then Brian and David will be commenting on each sake. So while I'm representing each slide, I will ask to mute all of you. But during the most of tasting time, I will ask please mute to share your comment on tasting. And also I have 10 to 15 minutes Q&A. And also I have a surprise gift for you, and the detail will be the last slide. So please stay tuned. So let's get started. So we can start without toasting sake. So now, David, please share us how to do the sake tasting using the first sake tasting called 1.
Okay.
David. Okay, so let's stop.
Sorry?
Sorry, I'm gonna stop share and I'll show you our face. Is that okay, David?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. 1 is generally a cup sake sold by Takeda Shuzo for Katafune. Generally, the sake is drunk. If you can see that. It's this one with the two little dogs on it. It's a honjozo sake, which means there's some brewer's alcohol added, but we should generally for warmed up sake that we recommend this on, we'll explain a little bit later, Nurukan, which is a warm sake. You can drink, generally I like to drink it in a ceramic cup like this, or ochoko, like this style. But generally, you just need to pour a little bit into your glass. Generally, take a look at the color. If you use an ochoko, there's something called a janome style of ochoko with 2 little blue circles in the middle. You can see the visual clarity of the sake. And generally, you want most sake to be either water white clear or have a little bit of color, a little bit of light green, yellowish tint. But that's normal through some of the sake process. So you notice the color and the appearance first, and then in the nose, you take get an example of the aromas. Generally in a honjozo or a warmed up sake, you're not going to get a lot of different aromas other than the pure rice of the alcohol itself. But more of the ginjo styles, you'll get more floral aromas and fruit aromas that we'll get into later as we get into the other sake tonight. Then you take a little sip, swirl it around in your mouth, and you get your impressions of acidity, alcohol content, and basically the flavors and how sweet the sake is. Generally, for most wine drinkers especially, sake will be somewhat sweet in taste, and acidity-wise, sake is much less acidity than wine. Wine can have anywhere from 5 to 10 times more acidity than sake. So sake is really easier to drink, I think. So you take a sip and you kind of get all your impressions. With more of the ginjo style of sake, you can get a lot of different types of descriptions, from green grass, all kinds of fruit, from pineapple, apples, pears, melons, berries. You can get vanilla taste. From the lactic acid, you'll get yogurt taste, creaminess, and that sort of thing. So sake is really a wonderful thing to try, different styles, different grades, and obviously different makers as well. But Katafune does a very good job of expressing their sake. And finally, after you drink it, once you taste enough sake, you'll make your own personal evaluation of it. Eventually, you'll be able to tell the grade. Even the most experienced sake drinkers cannot always judge the correct grade level. So don't feel bad if you're wrong, but it's a really challenging task. But that's all the fun of sake as well. Just to taste a lot of sake.
So let's cheer, everybody, to drink one. So cheers. And please drink up.
Now, for some of you who may have warmed this up beforehand, which is it's kind of difficult to do in this type of environment in this show, but you get a lot of sweetness. You get a little bit of the taste of the alcohol, and you get kind of a sweet honey taste to a certain extent in this one.
Okay, so thank you, David. So while you are tasting sake, I want to go over about Takeda Sake Brewery. Okay, so Takeda Sake Brewery is located in Niigata. So this is a Japan's map. And then, so this is Tokyo. And then this is the Pacific Ocean. It's connected to California. And then, so this is where the Niigata area. So there are many sake breweries out there. That's because this area is famous to grow good sake rice and has 4 distinct seasons. Like winter is really hot, and then summer is really hot, and then winter is really snowy. And it also has a good natural spring water. So those are some of the important aspects making good sake. So that's where the Takeda Sake Brewery is located. Okay, and then the fact about Takeda Sake Brewery. So Takeda Sake Brewery is founded in 1866. That's at the end of like Edo era, which is like a samurai era. And then it has been there for over 150 years. So today's guest, Mr. Takeda, is 9th generation of family-owned boutique brewery, brewmaster. And in Japanese, brewmaster is called Toji. So we call him Toji out of our respect. And his sake is all handcrafted. And he's kind and generous to create sake tasting set for us exclusively. And this sake tasting set is not available even in Japan. And so now, so I want to ask Toji about the concept of Katafune to understand a little more. 武田さん、それではよろしくお願いします。
はい。はい。Nice to meet you. それでは、片船のですね、少し、コンセプトといいますか、どんなお酒を作っているのかを少し説明したいと思います。先ほど今ほどですね、めぐさんからもお話ありましたけれども、新潟というところでお酒を作っています。いわゆる私のところは、新潟の中でも少し甘口のお酒を作る地域にいるんですけども、そんな中で、約30年前ほどに、いわゆる新潟発の淡麗辛口というブームが起きました。これ一回聞きますか？
大丈夫です。言っていただいて。そうだ。
はい。
大丈夫です。はい。
はい。 そんなわけで、いわゆる30年ほど前に淡麗辛口という大変すごいブームが起きまして、そんな中で、私たちのいる上越っていうところもですね、どんどんこう辛口になってしまったわけなんですけど、うちはですね、そういうお酒を作らずにずっと、いわゆるお米、原料米のお米の美味しさ、うまさを伝えたいということをコンセプトにずっと味のある、しっかりお米の味を感じていただけるお酒を作ることに邁進してきました。はい。そんな中でもですね、はい。ここまで一回切りますかね。
はい、そうですね。So, Katafune, Katafune is大丈夫です。言っていただいてすべて。はい、すいません。
いいんですか？
はい、いいです。
はい
はい。
はい、今、原料米のですね、美味しさを伝えるということをコンセプトに一生懸命作ってまいりました。昨今はですね、非常に、香りの高いお酒が日本でもブームになってますけども、私どもは日本酒というのは、やっぱり食中酒、料理と一緒にたしなむといいますか、一緒にですね、食するのが私は一番最高だと思ってますので、できるだけそういう香りの高いお酒じゃなくて、料理と合うお酒を作るということを、一番の目的を作ってまいりました。そして、一番大きいのがですね、やっぱり手を抜かない。私たちが、いろんな細かい高度な技術はありませんけれども、現場において決して手を抜かない。手を抜けば抜いただけのお酒しかできないということは、もうすでに皆さんも多分分かると思うんですけども、たくさんお酒を作っちゃうとですね、大量に作っちゃうと、やっぱりいいお酒できないんですね、基本的には。で、一つずつ丁寧に作るということが私は、日本酒のいい日本酒を残す最後の道だと思っております。はい、こんなところでいいでしょうか。
はい。So he said, so Katafune's concept is to bring out the rice's umami at the best condition to create sake that pairs well with dishes while giving off the subtle, a faint aroma. So many Japanese sake has pronounced or strong like sake aroma. Sometimes the aroma interfere with the food. So Katafune has subtle aroma. So typical Niigata sake is called tanrei karakuchi. It's a crisp, light, and dry. And that's because around 30 years ago, it has a huge sake boom to create that style. So many sake breweries switched and followed that style since then. So the many things that the crisp, light, and dry sake style is a Niigata sake. So however, the Katafune stick to their style as a mellow, so velvety rich, and medium full body is sake called like Hojun Umakuchi. And okay, so and then in conclusion, so Toji believes that each one of you matter the most. So if you like the taste, that's the best match for you. And he hopes that he creates those kind of sake that everyone to drink. Okay. So the Katafune sake is served in these Michelin star restaurants. So as their regular menu, like French Laundry or Single Thread and Niku Steakhouse. So we are lucky to taste today because it's hard to find the Katafune sake collection on consumer level. So now we are, so we know about more sake, about Takeda Sake Brewery, and let's go to the second tasting. So now we'll be tasting two sake together. And let's watch two quick videos to show you the detail of each sake. The first one is called Junmai Genshu. This one with the purple, with the blue color with the pink one. And then the second quick video will be the Honjozo.
はい。片船というお酒を作っております、武田でございます。よろしくお願いします。はい、これは片船、純米酒の原酒一回火入れです。 このお酒は原酒ですので割り水が入っていません。そして1回比例というのは普通のですね、お酒はだいたい貯蔵するときに1回、そして出荷する前に1回火入れ、いわゆる殺菌をしますが、これは生で貯蔵してきて最後の出荷するときにだけ少し火を入れます。ですので日本酒本来の少しフレッシュさも残しながら濃厚な味を保っていますので、大変美味しく飲めると思います。ですので、ぜひお料理に合わせるときは焼肉、焼き鳥などと一緒にしていただければありがたいと思います。今日は本当にありがとうございました。
The second one is the IWC1 酒本醸造。
はい。片船というお酒を作っております。武田でございます。よろしくお願いします。このお酒は片船の特別本醸造と言います。ロンドンの IWC で3度ほどトロフィーをいただきました。このお酒は片船のラインナップでもどちらかというと比較的ドライなタイプのお酒です。特にですね、そんなに香りが高いわけでもありませんので、ぜひですね、料理とのマッチングに使っていただけると大変ありがたいと思っております。香りが高くない分だけ料理の味の邪魔をしません。美味しく楽しく料理ができると思うので、ぜひ一度お試しください。ぜひですね、このお酒を飲むときにはですね、比較的多分アメリカではやはり比較的温度の低い温度、冷たくしてお飲みになることが多いかと思いますけども、ぜひこのお酒をですね、一度温めて飲んでいってみませんか？できれば42、3度ぐらいの温度に上げていただくと、いわゆるそこにお酒の持っている本来の味、香りが引き出され、いい香りといい味が随分と引き出されますので、そこも楽しんでいただくのも一つの楽しみかと思いますので、ぜひよろしくお願いいたします。今日は本当にありがとうございました。こんな小さな蔵へようこそありがとうございました。ぜひ私の作ったこのお酒をですね、皆さんで楽しんでいただき、そして大いに盛り上がっていただければありがたいです。今日はありがとうございました。
Okay, so now you are. So please unmute your microphone and you are welcome to comment for each sake. So let's taste, let's cheer, and let's taste sake together. You have sake in front of you. So we say kanpai in Japanese. Say kanpai or cheers. Bye. Kanpai. So Brian.
Yep.
So these two sake is part of your regular menu?
Yeah, so just like my shop implies, the name Craft Sake Shoten, I carry a variety of artisanal type sakes. These usually come from small producers, and the rotation is rather frequent for my inventory. Generally, I have about, I would say, maybe 40 to 60 different producers on hand. And Katafune is one of the few that I carry on a consistent basis. So in particular, I do have the Tokubetsu Honjozo that we've just discussed, as well as the Junmai Genshu. The Junmai Genshu is one of my favorites as well. So during the state of emergency, when the alcohol service was really curtailed, I do have a retail license as well. So I did carry some Yongo bins, which is a 720 milliliter bottles. They were designed for take home. So I carried the Junmai Genshu that Katafune produces, and that's it's a very popular sake with a lot of my customers. It just has that really nice balance.
That is true. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
like Genshus tend to have a little bit more body to them because they are not diluted with water. So, but yeah, like I said, it's just a very versatile sake, and it's just popular among most of my customers.
I try with the Genshu. I try a Genshu. Genshu is like this. Junmai Genshu is this one with unagi, or like chicken. That's really good. And this one is the meat. And a lot of high-end restaurant really likes to carry these sake. And David, do you have any comment on these sake?
Yeah, I tasted both of these just now. The Junmai Genshu, I was impressed with it. I think in the in Takeda-san's video, he mentioned it's single pasteurized. Once you get to study sake a little bit more, sake is usually pasteurized 2 times before it goes to the consumer. When it's pasteurized 1 time, you maintain some of the freshness, and actually the freshness really comes out in this one, and the flavors is really. I have it warmed to about 100 degrees, and I generally don't drink warm sake, but this one impressed me a lot. So.
Yes, so the impression will change. So if you can try to do the lukewarm, and so that would be great. So do you have, from the audience, do you have any questions or for the sake? If it's not, then I will go over next slide. So now do you have any questions? Okay. Okay, so each sake, so you just tasted, is belong to the different group. So it's Junmai. If you see the line in red, so Junmai group, and this is the Honjozo group. So you will be explained that since this is very useful for you to know, like if you want to buy some sake in the future. So okay, and so sake is made of these 4 different ingredients: rice and water and koji yeast. And then, so under this ingredients, sake can be divided into 2 groups, which is Junmai and then Honjozo. So next slide, David will share that with us. So a little bit, so David, please share.
Yeah, I can spend a long time on this chart, but the basics of it, in 1992, I think it was, the National Tax Agency in Japan set up this system for classifying sake. And there are 2 ways that this chart goes. One is whether you add brewer's alcohol, or jozo, and what Meg refers to as honjozo. The right side of the chart is the honjozo classification, also known as aruten sake. On the left side is junmai, which is basically translates as pure rice. So there's no brewer's alcohol added. So with that distinction, there's the junmai style and the honjozo or aruten style for basically 6 or 8 different categories. And then aside from that, the rice is polished down to a certain milling rate. If you know your sake right now, the basics, the daiginjo tends to be the most expensive. The reason is that the rice is milled down at least to 50%. So there's the classifications for daiginjos on the top. You have to mill the rice down to 50%. For ginjos, the minimum milling rate is 60% actually. For the honjozo classification that you see on the lower right, the minimum milling rate is 70%. There are a couple of extra categories called tokubetsu junmai and tokubetsu honjozo. Tokubetsu basically means special. There's something special about that sake. And there are 3 or 4 criteria of how to make that special. And it's basically, I would say, most brewers use it as a marketing scheme to distinguish it from the regular junmai or the regular honjozo. It can be based on grade of rice, type of rice, special brewing techniques, and things like that. I will point out the largest category for sake is futsushu. About 65 to 70% of all sake produced in Japan is futsushu, which is kind of your everyday sake. It is not included in the classification under the system. So this classification is really geared for premium sake. So you see there's a lot of exceptions to these rules. And the milling rates, even the milling rates, the brewers will mix milling rates of 60% milling rate may be classified as a junmai, and so on. But it's overall, it's a decent system. There are some talks about disbanding with the system in the future because the brewers are really getting experienced in producing a lot of good sake, regardless of what the milling rate is now. So
right. Thank you, David. So now, so we tasted Tokubetsu Honjozo and Junmai, two together. And then now use, as David mentioned, Daiginjo is the highest grade. And then we have Tobin Daiginjo. So let's taste the Daiginjo. So the Tobin Daiginjo. So if you pour into your glass, and then let's say kanpai or cheers.
Bye.
Bye, cheers.
Bye.
Bye. So this is ultimate expression of Katafune, and this is very limited and produced only small batch. So if you're lucky, you can find, if you can find and purchase the sake. And as you can see, so these high-end restaurants, like mainly serving this topping. And so it's paired well with French, Italian, and actually I paired with like soft cheese. And David and Brian, can you share a little bit about your comments on this sake?
Yeah, I find that when I do sometimes a sake tasting experience for foreigners that are visiting Japan. And I think a lot of times foreigners never consider drinking sake unless they're at a Japanese restaurant or they're having sushi or sashimi. And as I said, it's a very versatile beverage. It's probably one of the most versatile alcohol beverages. I mean, there's not many other alcohol drinks that can improve by just the change of temperature. So yeah, like I said, I think, you know, just it's good to experiment, you know, once you find a sake that you like, and I think you'll discover that it can go with many types of food. Cheese is wonderful. Cheese and sake pair very well. And there's a lot of Western foods too, that sake goes well.
Right. So David, have
Yeah.
you?
This Tobin, I actually had a sake day in San Francisco about 5 years ago, I think. And I actually took a bottle home with me that night. But so I have good memories of it. But it's one of my favorites out of, you know, thousands. Probably, I'm trying to catch up to Brian serving so many in Yokohama. But I've drunk a lot of sake, and the Katafune Tobin is one of my favorites. The aromas on this comes out wow. You should drink it in a wine glass. The temperature should be room temperature to slightly chilled. Takeda-san recommends room temperature. That really brings out the aromas very well. And I think it's made with Yamada Nishiki, which is the most popular sake rice in Japan. But all the Niigata rices, sake rices, are very good in that respect too. So, but
Right.
definitely this is a good experience for most of people here.
Yes. So it's a Katafune sake is very interesting because the way you drink, if you can like if you are drinking with chill or room temperature or nurukan, the impressions changed. And then also, if you're tasting with the food together, it just the whole impression is changed. So you can try, like you can enjoy with the multiple time and multiple layers. So that's really fun of it. So now, so you know about Honjozo and then Junmai, there's a two different group. So, but that says Honjozo group is added distilled alcohol, but sake is already alcohol, like has contained alcohol itself, right? So why adding the distilled alcohol? So that's so next slide, Takeda-san, I want to ask Takeda-san, Toji, Takeda-san, お願いします。Could you please share with us why Honjozo is adding distilled alcohol?
はい。アルコール添加のことですかね。
はい。
はい。ですね、いわゆるアルコールを純米酒というのは皆さん多分ご存知の通り、本当にお米と水でアルコールを作りますけれども、アルコールを添加するというか、なんで添加するのっていうと、必ずですね、言われるのが、かさ増してんじゃないの？お酒を増やしてんじゃないのって思われがちですけど、決してそういうわけじゃなくて、なぜかというと、簡単に言いますと、昔のですね、日本の はい、じゃなくて、ハリウッドの映画で、風と共に去りぬという映画がありましたけども、昔の映画ですね。その言葉をですね、少しもじりまして、カスと共に去りぬという言葉がありまして、絞った時に、カスとお酒と分かれるんですけども、このカスの方に日本酒の美味しいところやですね、いい香りがみんな持っていかれちゃう。結局、お酒の方にいい味とか香りが残らないということを言う、ちょっと、洒落た言葉なんですけども、それをアルコールを添加することによって、そのいい香りやいい味をお酒に残す。お酒に残してくれるんですね。アルコールが添加されることによって、そのアルコールにその香りや味が溶け出して、それを残してくれる。というのが一番大きな原因なんです。ですので、ちなみに日本での最大の品評会である全国新酒鑑評会なんかでもですね、約 90% 以上がいわゆるアルコールを添加したお酒が、入賞するということがもうはっきりしているんですね。ですので、アルコールを添加するということは決してかさ増しのためじゃなくて、お酒をもっともっと本当にいい部分を残すためにアルコールを添加されるんです。はい。
So thank you. So Mr. Takeda just shared that the reason why it's adding distilled alcohol is because it helps to focus the distinct quality of sake. So there are some confusion in the past that some still like some thinks like adding distilled alcohol is like a cheating that sake quantity, but it's not. It's not. It's just like helps to focus distinct quality of sake. But like, what does it mean, right? So if you see the sake in front of you, the color is clear, right? So that's because it was separated between the liquid and sake from the mash base. Like mash base looks like here, this moromi, it looks like a mashed potato, I would say, but it's called moromi. It's mash base, and it's like I say mother sake. And I have Toji actually shared a quick video with us, and then you will hear the sound of sake. So I'll be quiet a little bit before everyone can hear the sound of sake. Let me see if I can. Okay, sorry, it's just video is a little bit slow now. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Can you hear the sound? So see, this is a mash base. And this is not boiling. This is active yeast is making sake for us. So this is exciting, right? Because we cannot see, if the Toji didn't share this photo, we will not ever able to see this photo. For video.
The yeast is actually converting the starches and sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide.
Thank you, David. This is exciting. So when the moromi is pressed and to get the juice, so I'm saying this. So moromi is pressed here, and then to get the juice alcohol, the remaining is sake. It's called sake kasu. So sake kasu is sake contains a good sake's aroma and flavor. So by adding alcohol, it actually transfers the remaining like sake's aroma and flavor back to the liquid sake. And so this adding alcohol is a technique for Daiginjo sake to compete and major sake competition. So Toji just shared that almost like 90% of Daiginjo sake is actually it's a Honjozo, from Honjozo sake. And sakeri is a sakeri, sorry, okay. Here, where did it go? Okay, so sakeri is the sakeri. The sakeri is like a paste-like a texture, And I want to show you, and Toji actually kindly shared the video for us, like how they taking out the sakiri from sake moromi. So this is a white bag outside. This is a flatten out the white clothes of bag. And then this, they're taking like a sheet of paper. This is sake kasu. It was after the press, moromi was pressed. So that's why it looks like a sheet like this. Now it's like a really piece of paper. But this is called sake kasu. So the sake kasu is actually, it's so Katafune is selling sake kasu sakiri as a product. And so, and then as you can see, so this is the bag. So they are taking moromi into this small white bag and then press it. And then you are getting this paste like a texture. So then the sake kasu is actually widely and commonly used for a marinade base in Japanese dishes, like enhancing the umami flavor, like of the dish, and also be used for a beauty product as well. So now you see, so if you still have sake remaining of sake for topping or two other sake, can you try and taste the difference? Now you know like a little bit different of sake. And if you are having dinner, try to pair with your dinner, and the impression will change. Do you have any questions, or do you want to ask anything?
I will mention that in
Okay.
America, I think a lot of people look down upon the Honjozo style of sake, mainly because they think it's artificial, that you're adding additional brewer's alcohol, but that actually creates a much more aromatic, lighter, more drinkable sake. So don't shy away from Daiginjo or Aruten Honjozo style sake.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I'll second that too. Even some Japanese, they will sometimes, because the word junmai just implies pure. And then what I think a lot of people do not understand is that the honjozo, this brewer's alcohol that's added, it's just a hint of this brewer's alcohol. It's not to fortify the drink. It's not trying to raise the alcohol content, as David mentioned. So brewers do this to kind of bring out a certain essence. And when I speak to brewers in Japan, they will often tell me that the honjozo is the most difficult grade of sake to make. And when other brewers meet each other, that's the first thing they'll ask. Let me taste your honjozo, they say, because they know that requires the most skill.
Great point. And actually, I forgot to mention that this topping is actually won the gold medal in the Japanese national competitions. So, and also Honjozo won IWC, 3-time IWC award as well. So Katafune has many sake that won multiple award. And then, so actually we have a last sake tasting. It's called Katafune 13. This also won the gold medal. It's actually 2020. This is Japan's best sake with the wine glass. That's the title of the competition. And then they won the first prize among 1,000 sake. And this sake is quite different. So let's watch the short video.
いらっしゃいませ。武田酒造店へようこそ。私は10代目の武田春樹です。よろしくお願いします。片船の純米吟醸原酒13お酒です。こちらはですね、日本酒らしくない濃厚な甘みとですね、高い酸が、特徴のお酒です。なのでそういった味を、より楽しんでいただけるためにワイングラスで飲んでいただくことをお勧めしております。 合う料理としては本格的なフランス料理やイタリア料理などに合わせていただけるといいかなと思っております。おすすめの温度帯としては冷やして飲んでいただけるといいかなと思っております。
Okay, so this is he imaged this sake as so Toji images as this sake as ice wine or dessert wine. So let's taste. Let's combine together. Kanpai. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
So he imagined this sake as an ice wine, dessert wine. So, and 当時、武田さん、
はい。
この片船13の、
はい
お酒作りは、これは、秘密なんですよね。
はい、秘密です。
そうですね。So,
はい
so making this sake is the company's secret. And これはこれで、that's because as you know this, so if you see this, I know that just please don't worry too much about this number, but so this, if you compare with other sake, so this number is really high. I mean, really low, I would say -50, and acidity is 4.4. So meaning is this is high acidity, and then it's more rich and sweet.
This is a very interesting sake. The acidity is much higher than most sake. So, after a few seconds, your mouth will water a little bit more. And it's quite interesting. The sweetness really comes out. And I have 1,000 questions for Takeda-san, but he seems to want to keep it a lot of secrets. It's comparable to a lot of kijoshu, but I don't think he prepares it the same as a kijoshu. I think it's different from that. I want to ask him if it's yondan chikomi or not, but I don't know. He has a lot of secrets, I think.
Right. So this is interesting because you can drink like after friends, like if you can drink as like a dessert wine, or even like I tasted with the cheese with the cheese, and also with the prosciutto with the melon. That was really good. And usually, like when you have some like sweet and with a like normal like wine or something, that it sometimes creates like a stringy taste. But this one is just like wrapped around down the umami of the food umami, and then it just combined together. It's a great marriage of between sake and food. And it complements dishes like this is aroma, and just it's just beautiful. And I think this is great for like sake beginner, that like if sake is like, if this is like sweet but acidity to it, so it's really easy to drink. And I recommend that like for the like this season, like if you have some party, then I think there will be a good gift for your friends or family.
Yeah, it's a nice ending. So I have a sake that's similar to this. And it was served recently with a sugarless cheesecake, and it matched up really well.
Yeah, that looks, yeah, that's interesting.
Megu-san,
Hi.
Megu-san,
Hi.
can I make a comment on this one?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Hi, how are you? Megu-san, I haven't seen you in a while, and actually, I thought this 13 wine reminds me like the sweet wine from Loire, France, and it's called Cote Leon. And it's really refreshing and very sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's very, it has some acidity. And Actually, there is another very famous sweet wine in Bordeaux, France. It's called Sauternes. But Sauternes is much sweeter, and it's like a very honey style. But this is more like refreshing style. It's just, the Coeur d'Alene Loire is a very you can introduce this sake, and it's really comparable. It's really nice. I like it very much.
Yes. So their single sweat restaurant has this sake, and yes, they really like to use this sake as a main part of the regular menu as well. So
okay, that's nice.
Thank you so much for sharing this.
You're welcome very much.
Okay, so this was actually the last slide. And so if you are welcome to unmute, and then if you have any question, please let me know. And actually, I have a couple Q&A questions already received in past week, and I just want to go over a little bit. And so this one, okay. So some of them ask that how to store sake. So this is very important. So Takeda さん、お酒をストアのお酒をどういうふうに貯蔵したらいいですか、私たち。
そうですね。日本酒というのはですね、温度といわゆる高温と光に弱いので、できれば冷蔵庫に入れていただくとともに、できれば何か新聞紙でも結構ですので、何でも結構なので包んで冷たいところに冷蔵庫なりに入れていただけると大変長く品質を保つことができます。はい。
はい、ありがとうございます。So the best store in fridge all the time, and sake is very sensitive to the temperature and the light, UV light. So if you can, when you store, if you can just wrap around with a newspaper or like some clothes into the dark place, that would be great. And so please store its sake all the time. And another frequently asked question is the how to make hot sake. So is anyone wanna volunteer to go over this slide? If it's not, then I will. Okay, so first you find a pan, and then so pour the sake into like a vessel, and this middle thing is called tokuri. But if you don't have it, then like Pylex or mug cup, I think it will be it suffice. And then like the submerge the vessel into the pan of water, and then turn on the stove, and then the heat up the sake like gradually, like when you do like melting chocolate or butter. So it just gradually like heat up is a key. And please don't do microwave. It's gonna destroy the sake. So right. So and another one, I think this is it. Do you have any question from audience?
Hey, Meg, I have something. So this is Shane. I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for putting this on. I think this was absolutely amazing, and being able to try the different sakes and having everybody on today and learning about, I think I probably fell in the category of, hey, we have sake when we're at sushi or when we're in a Japanese restaurant, and kind of breaking outside of that, understanding that it's like you can try sake anywhere, right, with different meals, and you pair it separately. And I'll tell you, the dessert one was absolutely amazing. Like I could see my wife, I might have to hide that from her if I get some, because she's probably going to want to have a lot of that. But I want to thank you so much for putting this on. This was so much and very educational. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thank you very much for your comment. It's really kind of you. Thank you so much. So this is a wonderful Katafune sake, and so the Katafune sake is not is not usually available in like retail stores. It's just only available for those Michelin star or high-end restaurant, because just the quantity is really limited, because of the Katafune is mainly based on the handcrafted sake. So that's why it just right now I carry some. So that's how I was able to connect with Takeda-san. And being said that, we have a couple of minutes, so I want to share like how handcrafted like they are. So let me show you. So this is like example of like handcrafted mean by Katafune. So this is a washing rice video, and I'm going to show that right now. So they're washing rice in like middle of the winter. It's very snowy in Niigata. So they're using a stopwatch to measure like when to wash and how to wash it. And then if someone let the rice soak too long, that rice is spoiled. So they can't use that anymore. But they're doing this like over 1,000 times to make sake. So they say it's like 10 minutes, 10 seconds.
Yeah, generally, you're trying to get an absorption rate into the rice roughly between 30 to 35%, and most brewers will try to get an exact percentage, like 33%, and they time it to the second. These are usually 10 kilogram batches, about 22 pounds. And they do multiple of these batches to do a tank.
So and then this water is really cold. This is the spring water. So that is the one part of their doing the handcrafted. So the bigger like commercialized sake brewery don't do this. And another one, this is the pasteurization, how to do the pasteurization. And this is the summertime. And during the summertime is really hot. And then, so let's show you. So this water is around 158 Fahrenheit. It's like 70 degrees. And they're doing this by hand, really hand. And this is really lot of company, even it's a small sake brewery, they use this type of pasteurization. It's like a tube thing, and then in the tube there's a sake coming in, and then it's just like warm up sake to do the pasteurization, and then the sake is go out and then go into this like a bottle. But because a lot of sake brewery don't do this, because it's time consuming and it's just really hot. It's like 150 Fahrenheit. But Katafune will do this. It's because its effort pays off to create like mellow, like mellow and like gentle and like really like the umami, contained umami and rich sake. This sake is created by these handcrafted process. That's I wanted to say. Do you have any questions, or we have 3 more minutes?
I think people should ask Takeda-san if they come to Niigata, the Joetsu region, can they visit the brewery?
Yes, that's right. So 武田さん、今上越のその武田さんの酒造を訪れましたら、今見学はできますか？
そうですね、去年はちょっとコロナの関係でほとんど見学はお断りしていましたけども、今年は少人数なら事前予約があれば受けます。一応5人まで1日2回ですので、最高10人まで、はい、1日お受けすることができます。
わかりました。ありがとうございます。
仕事の都合でちょっと入れない場合もありますので、事前予約お願いできます。はい。
Okay, so if you are able to visit Japan this year, you are able to go into the sake brewery to see these kind of the sake brewery, but it's up to 5 people and to do the twice per day. And if you can reserve in advance, they can do it. And then last year, they couldn't do it because of the COVID, but this year they started doing it.
I do recommend to a lot of people to actually go see a brewery in Japan, especially the smaller handcraft type of brewery like Takeda's. It's really fascinating to see a brewery and all the hand labor that goes into it.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
I'll ask Brian, how do you get to your sake bar?
So it's located about a 5-minute walk from Yokohama Station. So it's a small little place, but yeah, there's a great selection of sake there. And I kind of started the business because when I moved to Japan, I had interest in sake and I would visit restaurants, izakayas, and not being savvy with the Japanese language, I thought there was a niche market for maybe some English-speaking craft sake. So,
please visit.
Also, yeah, I'll also make the comment. I've been to Takeda-san's brewery a few times, and I did have the pleasure to go during the brewing season, which is going on right now. So right now is a very exciting time in Japan. A lot of shibori tates are now being released. The shibori tates are the new sakes of the brewing season. But when I was visiting Takeda-san's brewery a few years ago, one of my best sake experiences was the chance to drink fresh pressed sake. So it's as Meg explained, you have this rice mash, and then it goes through this press. And then on the other end, after you take away those rice solids, you have this like fresh sake that's just kind of flowing out. And have a chance to stick my ochoko in there, fill it up, and taste fresh pressed sake. It's like nectar of the gods.
Oh, I want to go.
It's really interesting. It's a little bit rough, but the flavor just comes out so strong. And usually, sometimes the brewery will allow you to taste the moromi as well, the mash. Which is an interesting like porridge drink. Very strong, but it's a very interesting experience. But it's just fascinating to go to these breweries.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And I have a present for you that, so next purchase, so this is a coupon code. So if you can, there's $15 off. So if you purchase 3 bottles more, and so you get the $50 off. So I will send you an email, and this is for until December 20. And also I'm planning to winning contest, that a winning competition to win the free sake giveaway. So I'll be sending another email to you all. So if you don't have any questions, so this is the last slide. And thank you very much for everybody. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. This was the first sake tasting, and thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。